"Oh my God, I just got accepted to my dream college," my older brother Jeffrey screamed. My mom, dad, and sister began clapping and cheering. I just stood in shock and sadness. "Mom, Dad, you both just lost your jobs. How are you guys going to afford that?" I said, snapping everyone back to reality. The room instantly went quiet. "She's right, son. I don't even know how I'm going to continue paying for Ari to attend that special school," my dad said.
But before I go on, make sure you like and subscribe and hit that notification bell.
My little sister, Arianne, had cerebral palsy and she needed extra care and attention. After my parents both lost their jobs, everything seemed to fall apart. How are we supposed to make ends meet? "It's okay, guys. I will just continue working at the diner for now. I'll get to go to college someday," my brother said softly. My heart broke for him because I knew he'd excel at college. He was always at the top of his class, and I knew that he'd probably make enough money to take care of the whole family when he came back from college. I sighed and went to sleep. The next day was Saturday. I'd usually take Ari to the park for some fresh air. I laid a blanket on the grass and took out her favorite snacks and a few little toys. She clapped with excitement. After a while, I noticed Mr. and Mrs. Medlin sitting on the bench a few feet away. They were looking at us intently. Naturally, I was spooked out. The Medlins were the wealthiest people in our very superstitious neighborhood. They lived in the Medlin Manor, which had been passed down to them by their wealthy ancestors. Although they were rich, no one in town would associate with them. There was a rumor that anyone who went near their manor would disappear. Servants who worked there previously also claimed to hear odd noises and to see strange apparitions at different times of the day. Some had been scared away on their first day of work. Everyone believed the house was haunted and that the entire Medlin family had something to do with it. Suddenly, they got off the bench and walked towards me. I was terrified. What did they want with me? "Hi, Zaria," said Mrs. Medlin. "Hi, how do you know who I am?" I said, shaking. "It's a very small town, dear," she replied. "Do you know our son Elliot?" Mr. Manor asked. Yes, he goes to my school," I said. I avoided Elliot like everyone else at school did. In fact, he was the least popular kid at school. Everyone stayed away from him since kindergarten because of his family's odd reputation. I sometimes felt sorry for him, but I was also superstitious and it was too risky to talk to him. "Well, we know that your family is going through a bit of a hard time right now, and we would like to help. No one wants to be Elliot's friend, and he's a teenager now. I think it's about time he had a female companion, like a girlfriend. But girls run away from him because of those silly rumors that started years ago. None of them are true, by the way. Anyway, what we came here to ask you is if you'd consider dating our son," Mr. Medlin said. "What?" I replied, dumbfounded. This was indeed the weirdest thing anyone had asked from me, ever. "We will pay you," he continued, "once per week. Come on, please, he really needs a friend." I was angry and began screaming at him. "If you think you can just pay me to—" But before I could finish, he said, $100,000 a week, and winked at me. My jaw dropped. With that kind of money, I could turn my family's life around. I took about a minute to think about it, but I finally agreed. They told me that they'd deposit the money into my bank account once per week and that they'd continue doing it for as long as I date their son. I took my little sister home while smiling all the way. "You're going to be able to go to an even better school," I said to her while she giggled. The next week, I began pursuing Elliot. I decided that I'd accidentally bump into him near his locker. I swallowed my fear and did just that. "Hey, Elliot, I'm sorry for bumping into you. I feel a bit dizzy today. Anyway, my name's Zaria," I said. Hi. Do you need help with anything?" he replied. "No, I'll be okay, but I was wondering, would you maybe like to hang out after school?" I said. "Okay, sure. I'll meet you outside of the science lab when the bell rings," he replied. Wow, this was all too easy, I thought while thinking of that money. After school, we walked around for a while just talking about whatever random topics came to our heads. I discovered that we had a lot in common. We liked the same music, books, and TV shows. He was actually quite funny and handsome. We continued to hang out every day after school. One afternoon, while we were sitting at the fast food place drinking soda, he suddenly asked, "Why did you decide to talk to me? No one talks to me. It's like they're avoiding a plague or something, and I'm that plague." "Well, I believe that everyone deserves a chance, and I think it's unfair how everyone has been treating you," I lied. He smiled, and I felt awful for being so dishonest. That weekend, I went online to check my bank account balance, and sure enough, my first 100,000 had been deposited. I nearly screamed with joy. Then I wondered how I'd give this to my parents. I needed a cover-up story. What could I do? I don't want them to think I'm a criminal or anything. Oh, that's it. I'll get a part-time job, I thought. I searched online for part-time vacancies in my area, and I sent a few letters to several companies. After a few days, I got a response from a clothing store. I went for an interview and got the job. When I gave this news to my parents, they were happy that I could help out and felt proud that I was taking responsibility and becoming more mature. Elliot would come to hang out with me every day at the store, and after work, he'd walk me home. After a while, we developed a stronger connection, and I asked him to be my boyfriend. He agreed. By that time, I had over $500,000. I hadn't given it all to my parents. I gave them money little by little, and when they asked why I had so much, I just told them that my boss was extremely generous. My sister was able to go to a better school with specialists who were more qualified to take care of her. After 2 months, my brother had enrolled in his dream college successfully and was completely enjoying his life. I felt so proud, happy, and relieved that I was able to do this for my family. One evening, Elliot invited me over to his house to watch a movie and eat snacks. At first, I freaked out a little bit because I still believed that his house was haunted. But I realized that if I didn't allow our relationship to grow, his parents might stop giving me money. I had grown to enjoy my new riches, so I decided to conquer my fear again. He met me at my house and we walked to his. The Medlin Manor looked much darker and scarier up close. I thought it looked like an old castle. I imagined that there were probably many hidden rooms and pathways inside. He opened the door and we went inside. The interior of the house was just as spooky. Although everything in there looked very elegant and expensive, it was still dark, and I had a bad feeling that I just couldn't shake off. "Hey, Zaria, are you okay? You look worried." "We don't really have ghosts here, you know," he laughed. I'm okay," I said. "She's a really pretty one." His dad winked, and they left the room. I continued to hang out at Elliot's house after work most days. I told my parents I had to work late, and my friends believed that I was home studying. Despite the rumors, apart from the fact that the Medlin Manor was old and a bit ugly, I heard no strange noises and saw no ghosts. I continued to give my parents money every week. I believe they knew it wasn't all from a generous boss, but we were all so desperate that they took it anyway. Our life improved, but as time went by, I felt more and more guilty about accepting money to date Elliot. I had really started to fall in love. One morning I woke up, and I could not imagine my life without him. That was how close we had become. I felt this heaviness in my heart, which I couldn't ignore anymore. I didn't want to lie to him. At his house that afternoon, I decided to tell him the truth. "You have been a great boyfriend to me, and I want you to know that I really appreciate you," I said. "And you're the most amazing girlfriend in the universe. I'm so glad you bumped into me near my locker," he smiled. Well, I haven't been completely honest with you about something, and I feel that I need to tell you the truth. I really like you, and I don't want to lose you, but I also don't want to lie to you. Your parents have been paying me to date you," I said. He said nothing and stared blankly. "I will stop taking their money. At first I accepted because my family was in a really bad place financially, but now it feels wrong. I don't want you to feel like I'm dating you for money. It's because I really love you," I said while wiping a tear. "It's fine, Zaria. I knew everything all along." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. At that point, his parents walked into the room. Apparently, they had been listening to everything. "That's correct, dear. He always knew." We don't keep secrets from our son. Anyway, we have another request, said Mrs. Medland. This sudden change of events was too much for me. Our family has a tradition of choosing our children's spouses. We would like you to be Elliot's wife someday, but not here. We would like you to leave the state with him and live together until you are legally allowed to get married. After you are husband and wife, we will hand over half of our fortune to you. We trust you, and we'd like you to become a member of our family. She continued while smiling. We don't want you to say anything to your family. It has to seem like you've disappeared. Most people know that you've been dating Elliot, and another Medland Manor disappearance will be good for the image we're trying to maintain. Mr. Medland smirked. This was the strangest conversation of my life, but in the end I agreed to do what they asked me because they promised to ensure that my family would always have money. I wanted the best for them, and I also loved Elliot, so I figured it was a win-win situation. I believed that I'd see them again someday, so I tried to remain optimistic. Now everyone in town believes that I've disappeared, or worse, that I've been murdered by the Medlands. Everyone continues to fear them, and no one will go near their house. Meanwhile, I'm very happy with the love of my life, but I really miss my family sometimes.